Traders, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going over AMC. I'm going to go over exactly what I see on the charts, how we moved on Friday, why I am so bullish going into next week, where I got my options expiring for September 17th, and how I see this moving over the course of the next few days and weeks. I like what I'm seeing. AMC looks absolutely phenomenal. You have the pullback, but let's get right into the charts. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Let's get to it.
I got no drip in my pocket. Forgot it, or maybe.
All right, very quickly before we get into the charts, I do want to talk about a few things. Now, there's a lot of other stocks, and I will consider these types of memes, right? And high shorted stocks as well. SPRT, AQST, that's more of a therapeutic play, but BBIG. Now, I've mentioned a lot of these on my Twitter, but once you start seeing these go absolutely parabolic, bad things typically follow. Now, if anyone remembers Clove, I played Clove onto the upside. It looked really good. I made lots of money on it, but if you don't really remember, you had an initial push in the early morning and then you dumped right back down. And I know a lot of you guys are into this mentality of holding and, trying to make the most that you possibly can, and that's going to run up for multiple days like AMC has been running up. But fundamentally, they're totally different. And I know you're not investing into AMC based on a fundamental growth outlook of how the company is going to generate revenue. It's more than that. But when you're looking at these other companies, you have to fundamentally take a step back and say, well, why am I looking at AMC? And then why am I looking at SPRT? And the reason fundamentally, like I'm going to keep saying that word because it does have a different usage in this case, is totally different. You're interested in SPRT for an instant gratification of making quick money within the next 5 to 20 minutes. Yeah, the fact is you're not going to hold that for 3 days and probably be profitable. Probably not going to happen. You missed that time. That was $10 when it was heavily shorted and it was gradually moving. But if you take a look at AMC right now, you're gradually moving and you're bottomed out. So it has a lot better reward compared to the risk. However, when you're buying BBIG and holding it over the weekend, you're looking for that instant gratification of making the trade. It's no real viewpoint or logic behind it. It's just, I hope I make money on this trade. Let's put some money down. That's what's going on here, but people are putting more money than they're willing to lose, and that's just stupid. But let's get to the chart in AMC. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is look at the 4-hour chart as a higher time frame, and I want everyone to look at a few things. This is gonna be number one. Keep an eye on this right here, this double bottom, kind of a triple bottom, 1, 2, 3. We'll say double. And then you have this going on here. You look like you're flagging, getting back above VWAP. You look strong. Didn't even get a monthly test. You love to see that. And you held $40. Now, coming down to the OBV, this is the main thing we need to look at. I mentioned going into this week, you'd probably come up, you get a little bit of rejection, but you're going to break through. Because in my opinion, you rarely double top, triple top when it comes to the OBV. And if you look at this on-bounce volume, look at every time we've been in one of these blocks, right? This is a little bit more extended. We've been in this a little bit longer, very similar to the last one we had. But look at what happens when you break out. Look at how that moves. It's just absolutely gorgeous how you move. And it's worth mentioning right here where this one started was mid-March. And if you remember mid-March, if you zoom back out of this, mid-March was right here. And that's just when we had that straight, sorry, no, it's not. I'm a liar. Mid-March was right here. And if you really zoom out, you can see that's when you have from $14 all the way back down to $8.50. That's a huge move, guys. And if you look here, when you have this long drawn-out move now on the OBV, you went from $70 all the way down to about 31 roughly. So take 29 actually, but consider that very similar movement. OBV looks absolutely phenomenal, and look where you're at now. If you break above this range, in my opinion, I think this thing goes absolutely insane. I think it has so much room to run, and all I'm waiting for now is for the breakout out of this, and it looks absolutely insane. But we're going to go take a quick look at the 15-minute chart, and as we get into here, this is where I really like to do most of my work when it comes to actual TA and things like that. Now, if you watch what I pointed out a second ago, we were looking at the 4-hour, and I was looking at the chart, and I said, notice that double bottom. If you look here, in my opinion, now granted, total different time frame, but you're getting somewhat of that double bottom here as well. You can even consider it a triple bottom, quad bottom, whatever you want to call it. But you held this bottom range extremely strong, and you also held this purple dotted line right here, the daily level, very strong as well. I think this looks phenomenal going into the next day, going into Monday and next week. I think it's great that you never broke below that 200 EMA as well. And I think it's even better that you didn't come back down to $37.5, $38, that monthly level. I did not think you needed a retest of that. And if it got a retest, that would have been really gross. So Ending the day, I think we're at 40.9 in the after hours, which after hours, in my opinion, aren't that important. But overall, I think this thing goes absolutely ballistic. And I am willing to bet money that the fact if you push back to 48, 47.5 up here, you break straight through it on your first attempt. Now, that's just my opinion, but I definitely think AMC has that type of momentum now. You had the pullback, and now you're pushing up. Very similar to how you moved here, right? You had that 1, 2, 3, all those touches at the range. You rejected, you pushed up, you just stayed there, and then boom, you got massive, massive volume through that level and then made that next push. Now, in my opinion, it looks very similar. You're making that same type of movement here that you saw here. You push down, you retraced, formed a strong bottom, and now you're pushing back up. You want to see lots of strength in volume when you get back into this range around 46, 47. However, I think it's very much in the works. And then from this range, ultimately, my next level that I'm going to be watching is $52. But if you break above this very strong $48 range, in my opinion, you soar right past it just because it's not enough room for price discovery. However, anything can happen. It can keep going, but that's what I'm watching for, $52 for the next coming week. Also, I didn't mention my options. I have September 17th, the $100 strikes. Those are very risky, but I'm a risky guy, and those look very promising as of right now. I did average in below $1 value, so that was really, really great for myself. Going into next week, I want to see immediate strength Monday through Wednesday. I need to see strength, and I need to see some type of push and a lot of volume. However, I think it's very likely that you start to get that push. You have to be prepared if you start to push back down a little bit to just evaluate and move around your position, especially on the options end. Now, if you're holding shares, totally different story. You don't really have to worry about it. Ever since we had those earnings, I did mention the bottom was in. I've been saying that on repeat. The bottom was in when we had that $29 push at that bottom. I don't think you're going to get a nasty push like that anytime soon. But as far as options, you always have to be able to adjust your position based on the way the trade's moving, because risk is always moving as well with your trade. If you have any questions, comment down below. Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. Back tomorrow. Namaste.
I'm about to take off like a rocket. Houston, we might have a problem, but that don't mean